Hey, what's up, everybody? Time for another game theory design community discussion sort of video. If you like the videos, like, sub, like, comment, share, support the channel in any way if you can. I do appreciate it. It helps. Super like the video, whatever the fuck it is, right? Thank you. So I do want to make a FGC on NBC video talking shit about the game, but this is going to be the last talking shit about the game in real life, sort of. At least for a little bit, because I'm getting a little bit bored about this. But I do want to have a little bit of discussion about this, and I want to show off a couple clips discussing something in particular that I saw.
All right, cool. What's up, everybody? I am Jules JP, the community manager of 2XKO, and we're joined by...
I'm Sean. I'm the game director.
The director of the game, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's pretty important, right? The director of the game?
Made a blog post, but...
I think the first thing to know is that, we're sharing this very early, right? And a lot earlier than you typically would do.
Already making fucking excuses. Does anyone actually think that they are showing this game earlier than you would typically do? A game they have already admitted that it's being made for 8 years, when we have games like fucking Street Fighter Alpha 1, and it's one of the reasons I like using Street Fighter Alpha 1 as an example in some of my game theory videos, because that was a game that, correct me if I'm wrong, that was a game that was made from scratch in less than a year, 9 months or something. And Street Fighter Alpha 1 is a game that does not play that badly. A game like Vanguard Princess, oh my God, Jesus Christ, that was made by one single fucking person. I don't know how long that took to make, but that's still pretty incredible. This is a game supposedly made of the greatest minds in the FGC history, American-wise. And this is what they've done in 8 years. Now, it's almost like, it kind of reminds me of, do you remember like Final Fantasy 15? Like maybe they have to push this game out because Riot was like, hey guys, you have 10 years to make a fucking game. You only got a couple years left. Put out the goddamn fucking game. What the fuck are you doing? It's 8 years and you're still trying to say that it's brand new. It's more, you typically don't show a game this early. Just fucking stop. Please, just the amount of code. Remember like Final Fantasy 15 when it was, I think that game came out and because Square was like, hey, you only have 10 years to make this game. And then was it Tabata? Whoever the guy came on and Nomura was kind of like pushed aside a little bit because they're like, Nomura, what are you doing? And then he was like, oh my God, you've been making this game for 7 years and like a lot was not done. And so then it was like, like the last few years was like lickety split. We got to get this game out, right? But anyway, let's look. What is a game director anyway? If we look at Google, let's just look. What does a video game director do? The game director leads the overall vision of the product, which includes gameplay, story, audio assets, cinematics, and marketing materials. She, surprised they don't put they, them, helicopter, is closely involved in establishing a game's concept alongside senior members and translates the overall vision into a creative framework. Now, one of the things that I said about this game that I realized when I looked at the interviews? They didn't seem very confident in their product. How often have we seen these guys actually talking about they don't even know what's fun? How do you have the fucking director of the game is telling you that he doesn't know what's fun about the game? No, seriously. I know people, and this is why I said, listen, I know I'm talking shit about these motherfuckers. But me talking shit about someone doesn't stop it from being a fucking fact. How does the director of the game not know what is fun about the game? How does the director of the game tell you that he doesn't think zoning is fun? He's worried that you won't think zoning is fun. So in 8 years, he only has 6 characters finished with Riot money. Is he in charge of, hiring the people to make the game? Like, hiring like the designers, he's bringing in people to help him make the game. I mean, it is technically his vision. This is his vision of a game. His vision of a game is apparently he doesn't even know if people like zoners, so they're not currently in the game right now. 8 years in development. A fighting game is music, background, 2 characters fighting on the screen, or it's a tag team game, Like, what is there to a fighting game? You don't need some overarching story. You already have these characters that it's based off of. It's not like you're making characters from fucking scratch, right? Are you kidding me? What? Oh, it's so early. The characters are already there. You're not coming up with brand new fucking characters, dude. This is your fucking vision, and you don't even know what's fun about it. You look extremely unconfident in your product. Why did you hire people? Why did you say that you don't want a game to be a bunch about TODs and big combos and everything like this? And you hired guys that only do fucking combos. Does that make sense to anybody? Is that talking shit? I mean, it is. I mean, I guess maybe it could be, but is it facts? It is, right? Especially when your shilliness is being made by so many great minds. You see what I'm getting at here? You don't want a game to be all about combos, but it's a tag team game. You're hiring people that are just fucking lab monsters. Although some people do have a little bit credentials in terms of actually competitiveness, right? You know, to different varying degrees. So I shouldn't totally say that no one has any competitive creed. So don't mistake that. Excuse me. But I would say, do these people actually have credentials in terms of loving fighting games? Or do they just like one specific aspect of a fighting game? That's what I've said before. How am I able to predict all these games, right? Because I enjoy many games. I can see every perspective. I can enjoy the perspective of a character even if I don't want to play said character, right? I like Street Fighter games. I like King of Fighter games. Well, I used to like King of Fighter games. And hell, fuck, I guess you could say I used to like fucking Street Fighter games because even Street Fighter games aren't the same anymore. But, you know, point still stands, right? I like 3D games, right? I like labbing, I guess, Marvel games. You know, I enjoy combos in them. You know, the point is, I like all different sorts of games. And even if it's a character that I don't like, I can still appreciate them, right? These people, they only seem to like one perspective of what a fighting game is. You know, it's like, how the fuck, and you know, this is like, again, it's talking shit about the people that make the game, but it's a fact, right? I mean, what is these people's credentials for why you hired them? Like, can you imagine? And this is so fucking true because the community has made up so many lies about me. Can you imagine if somebody hired me to make a game, to beta test their game for 8 years, and I, in 8 years, did not try to do a assist with one of the 6 characters that's in the game to see that the damage buffer is not in the game. Especially when the guy is telling me I don't want combos in the game to be big. But you hired me a combo guy. I mean, how many days is in 8 years? You couldn't just go to, I mean, I would assume if you're making a game for 8 years with 6 characters, your brain must be rotten. You must be getting so bored of playing the same characters. Now, of course, I know they did admit that there's 2 other characters that they have worked on that they just aren't finished. Okay, there's 2 other characters that are not finished. Okay, so you're developing one character a year? Come on, dude. And you couldn't fucking try this one fucking combo to see like, well, I guess, you know, I've been making the game for 8 years. I guess I could. Oh, geez, okay. Okay, Unconquerable. I guess I'll go to the lab and I'll try this character's assist. I haven't tried it in 2,000 days. Yeah. Can you imagine? You would never hear the end of it, right? Why are people not talking shit about Marlin Pie for that? Why are people not talking shit about Clockwork for that? Yahose, any of these people. I think it goes to show that these people that you think are lab monsters don't actually have that much credentials in terms of labbing games, actually being people that have changed the perspective on games. And like I said, and when I even think about credentials, and of course, like, I know Apology Man has done well in tournaments. This isn't to talk shit about him for that. This isn't to talk shit about fucking, you know, Marlin Pie. He's done good in tournaments, obviously. So has Clockwork, you know. But are these guys actually, have they changed the perspective on what is possible? Are they actually huge lab monsters, right? And let's just say, I'm not saying that you can't enjoy a game, that you can't have fun. I'm not saying that they don't enjoy it themselves, right? But do they actually have these credentials for like, whoa, they found stuff that you never would have thought? you think of Clockwork and doing the Strider stuff, right? And like I said, it kind of it makes me feel bad actually and sad that, I remember I met Clockwork when I was a kid. And Clockwork was like, whoa, you made the fucking CVS2 video? He's like, that was so good. And I was like, yeah, I hear about you play Strider. And I was actually nervous to meet this guy because I was a kid. Because again, it was at my time that I didn't know I was allowed to enter tournaments, right? And like I said, as my story, when I first entered tournaments, I already started winning, right? And I realized, whoa, the community is not as good as I've been reading. Getting beat by a kid, basically, right? Okay, I wasn't a kid, but early teenager, I guess you could say. But, and Clockwork has shouted me out many times throughout the years. He's messaged me about how to do stuff in games, right? And then, of course, Clockwork, I'm like, bro, why can't anybody talk about me anymore? What's going on? Oh, yeah, I don't know why no one can talk about you anymore. Ugh, I groan. Are you sure, dude? I mean, you don't seem to talk about me anymore either, even though you used to post all my videos for Marvel. Yeah, I don't know why no one can talk about you anymore. I am cold. I am dead from making these games, right? I mean, you heard Clock. I mean, it makes me disappointed, obviously, right? But, even you see the game that Clockwork worked on, the fucking Power Ranger game. It's a fucking combo game. Come on, dude. I don't know if I can't think of Marlon Pye actually coming up with a lot of stuff in games, to be honest with you. What I remember him doing hard combos to say, but I don't remember Marlon Pye actually coming up with a lot of stuff, to be honest with you, right? Whereas if you look what I've done in Marvel, guess what? What did I show just recently? I've still put out Marvel stuff that people think is fake, that the community has tried to say it's fake. It's so game changing. People literally, was it just last year? People were using tasks to try to recreate what I did manually in Marvel 3. And I just went this year. Was it not this year? I think it was this year, right? I showed me doing stuff that is supposedly tasks manually. Did I not just show that? Right? Yahose, I don't know the fuck Yahose has done. Like I said, the only thing I know about Yahose is fucking they were trying to be buddy with me during Dragon Ball FighterZ. And then they decided to pretend that I hate transgender people. Why the fuck would I have talked to you if I hate transgender people in the first place? Oh, and then they just allowed themselves to take credit for all the stuff I'm doing. Apology. Like I said, what Apology Man, did he come up with the red brand strategies? Maybe he did. But the point is, these guys are combo guys. Do you see these guys talking about actually the love of a fucking fighting game? That they love fighting games. Not just, they don't love just doing a fucking combo. They love every aspect. Even if they're not do they actually love the zoning? Do they love the grappler? Can they appreciate the 3D game? Can they appreciate fucking Street Fighter? And I've said this before. If you don't like fucking Street Fighter, you should not be making any fucking fighting game as far as I'm concerned. If you cannot fucking appreciate fucking Street Fighter 2, you should not be fucking working on a fighting game. You should be ashamed of yourself. You have to appreciate where you fucking have come from. Right? That's not to say that the game has to be a, let's say, more mundane game, right? Because ultimately the developer of the game wants a tag team game. The designer, the director of the game wants a tag team game. So I guess from a certain point, like, who are you blaming here? You could say maybe Marlon Pye and, Clockwork, they're going to be like, hey, dude, you said it's a tag team game. What the fuck are we supposed to do? Of course there's going to be combos. And he's like, yeah, well, I mean, it just shows it's a clusterfuck. What are you doing with this game, right? What is the vision of this game? And that's why I said before, look at when I've talked about how I would make a game. And I've talked about the narrative of a game is important. And that's kind of like the developer, the designer, the director, right? I've used the example of a game like fucking Dragon Ball FighterZ so often, right? Like Dragon Ball FighterZ, that was a game you should have had the fucking director. He should have been like, yo, dude, this is a good idea here. The idea of the tug of war between fireballs, homing, dashing, and reflecting, this is a fucking good idea. This is a fucking perspective that you cannot get in any other game. We should focus on this. And they didn't do that. That's one of the reasons that Dragon Ball FighterZ sucks, because you actually have a new perspective that is possible on the game that is not possible in anything else, and they didn't fucking nurture that. Right? You have to be able to pick out the good and the bad ideas, dude. Right? You know, it's just like, you need to be like, hey man, it's crazy to me. Like, say an example, if you've watched my videos of how I would change Street Fighter and everything like that. Like, I won't say their names just because the one guy, I don't want to like talk shit about the guy per se, but you know, I'm putting out ideas. This is what I would do if I was changing Street Fighter. This is what I would do for this character. And you can give me your ideas and I will critique them, whatever, right? And, you know, one of the guys, he gave a Rolento idea. And that would be an idea if I was a director of a game, right? I would be like, that's a good idea. Let's call him Bob. Bob. You know, it wasn't actually the FGC Bob, but yeah, Bob, you know, that was a good idea, right? You know, I don't know if it's actually, when I thought about it, I don't know how plausible it is in a Street Fighter game, but it's interesting enough that I would allow the idea to grow and to try to nurture it a little bit to see how far we could push that, because it is a new perspective, right? How plausible it is when I think about it, I don't know, but it deserves at least a little bit of attention. Now, another guy, and this is why I don't want to say the names because I don't want to seem like I'm picking favorites or talking shit about somebody. He gave ideas, and you know, some of the ideas I'm like, bro, this doesn't even sound like a Street Fighter game. What are you talking about? It's just not a good idea. I'm sorry, but I appreciate it. And another idea was, this idea is plausible and it works, but it's just not interesting, right? And that's me, not trying to talk shit about the guy, but that's just, you know, being honest, right? And, you know, of course, there'll be haters. Clayton, what do you know about games? What do you know about game design? Motherfucker, who's done more than me in fucking fighting games? You guys have to lie to get people to not watch my videos and then constantly take credit for the stuff I've done. I have looked at video games and done more than the entire fucking community. Look at Dragon Ball FighterZ. I looked at Dragon Ball FighterZ and I predicted almost the entire fucking game. From foundational combos that are now used as normal B&Bs. Look at fucking Homie Dash rejumps. I talked about that during the beta before I had even played the game. And that stuff didn't even start getting used till 2 years later. People were saying it was fake in my original videos when I finally got the game, right? It doesn't matter if it's foundational stuff to actual combo video stuff. Most of the shit in that game is from me, right? And I saw some guy trying to talk shit, you know, like, oh, you know, Clayton, he wants to always say, oh, I got you. But the thing he got you with was a broad statement. Who cares about a broad statement? Well, obviously, if you look at my history of fucking video games, you know, I have made many more descriptive predictions about video games. And of course, yes, I have made broad statements that turned out to be true, because a broad statement, you can still make a broad prediction and it can be true. Like, look at Street Fighter 6. What was a broad prediction I said about Street Fighter 6, right? I said Street Fighter 6, the characters are going to be too homogenized. You can tell what they're doing and they're going to all be using the system in the same way, right? That's a broad statement. And people are like, oh no, they're going to change poking. Not everyone's going to be poking that way. You know, it's just a beta. Moves will start whiffing you when you're ducking and all this kind of shit. And I'm like, no, it's not. You can tell that everyone's going to use the system the same fucking way, generally speaking, right? And they do. Just like I said, generally supers are going to be combo fodder besides a few characters, which that's true. It's a general statement, but it's true. Street Fighter 6 is a homogenized game where the characters are using the system in the same way. Just like I talked about Guilty Gear Strive. I've made more, you know, descriptive and more deeper dives into fucking Guilty Gear Strive when I talked about how that was going to work, right? But I also made generalized statements that it said that they were making a mistake. All right, let's try this again. We had a little bit of technical difficulty. I was saying that the characters are going to be the best thing about the game, right? Characters are the best thing about the game, but they're going to focus on the system. And the system is not that good in fucking Guilty Gear Strive. Wasn't that true? It's fucking true. That's a generalized statement, but I also went deeper dive and I predicted other more concrete things, right? But you can give a generalized statement and it can still be true. And it just shows how fucking retarded the community is. The fact that you can't even keep up with a broad statement. If anything, like I said, when I saw that comment, the guy, oh, Clayton's made broad statements, and then he's like, I got you. Motherfucker, you can't even keep up with the complex things. You can't, I mean, excuse me, I should say, you can't keep up with the broad statements, let alone the complex things, right? That's what I meant to say. I'm sorry, excuse me. So anyway, you know, again, you need a developer that actually appreciates all different things. You need a developer, a designer, a director, that appreciates all different play styles. Not a director that doesn't even know why his game is fun. Not a director that tells you he doesn't want one thing, but then he hires people that only fucking do that. Excuse me, right? That is so fucking retarded. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever, dude. It's just, it's asinine. But, anyway, like I said, I'm glad that the game is in the state that it is because, of course, it's, if the whole FGC burned down, good fucking riddance. And people get mad, oh, you shouldn't talk shit about people. Guess what? If one person watches my fucking videos and they actually look up the history of fighting games and they see who is the actual person who has changed the perspective on fighting games, who has put out more tech in fighting games than anyone in the history of fucking fighting games, who is the person that did that while they were dying in a fucking hospital, who is still on disability to this day, right? Who is the person that has actually won tournaments while sick? The person that this community has lied about and then profited off of. If only one fucking person sees that, that's enough for me to continue to talk shit about people, because I don't think people should be making money that don't even have the credentials for it. They have scammed the fucking community, and it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Anyway, I feel like the videos, like, subsidy, comment, share, support the channel if you want to appreciate things. I do want to do a
FTC on NBC. Bob, when is that video gonna come out?
I'm trying, Pikachu, but these voices, they kill me.
Oh, yes, I know, Bob. They're hard. Anyway, the end.